Let me do this, Konnan, while we have Nick on. Okay, because this is hot off the press.
Right.
And I want to ask you about some of the comments that Andrade made about AAA on the podcast.
Which I have not heard any of them.
All right, so let me give you some of these categorically here, right? He said he still dislikes AAA and says they owe him for being able to get Ric Flair to appear, as AAA made no efforts on their part. Is that accurate?
Made no efforts to what?
That he's the one that got Flair to appear because AAA, I guess, made no efforts to get Flair to appear on their part, that he's the one that got Flair.
No. Well, yeah, he did get him. It was my idea. I asked him, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Flair came in and we did the figure 4 spot? And he said, you know what? That is a good idea. And he brought him in, and he did bring him in. You know, I'm sure he convinced him. I didn't talk to Rick, you know,
right.
And I guess he feels he deserved a favor, and he probably is owed a favor.
Oh, yeah. He also says that returning to Mexico would be a step back if he became a free agent.
Well, that's his opinion. You know, I mean,
he's upset at AAA owner Dorian Roldan due to bringing him in for Triple Mania at 11 a.m. and having no food for him, paying him late, and trying to feed him peanuts and chips until it's time for his match.
Okay. What? Let me hear that again.
He says he's mad at AAA because they brought him into Triple Mania at 11 a.m. They had no food for him. They paid him late, and they tried to feed him peanuts and chips until it was time for his match.
Okay. I personally like Andrade. Professionally can be a little bit difficult. But I will say this. Everybody had to be there at 11 o'clock, not just him. Okay? And, you know, if they're asking you to be there early and you're getting paid a lot of money, which he was being paid a lot of money, why can't you show up early? We're trying to go over a match, you know, and it's to make you look good. And I can tell you this, you know, at most house show, at most TV tapings, we have some food, and then they just put out chips and peanuts. We don't have the resources that AEW has or WWE. Let's be real. They make millions of dollars off of television rights. We don't. So, of course, it's very easy for them to give you catering all day. You know, but There was not peanuts and chips for him. There was food, and he was the only one. He was not the only one called at 11 in the morning.
All right. Also, he says he called.
I was there at 11 in the morning.
Yeah, your call time is 11 o'clock. I guess.
And I'm sick, dude.
Right. Next, calls out AAA for not improving conditions for wrestlers the same way American companies do. I don't know exactly what he means by that.
I don't either, but we'll go back to the same thing. Bro, Mexico's a third world country. It's a third world economy. If you've ever been to Mexico, if you've ever been to the Philippines, if you've ever been to Africa, they're poor third world countries. You're never going to be able to compare the luxury and the resources that they have in the United States with Mexico. Just like if you've ever been to Abu Dhabi, it's one of the most awesome places you can go to. It's opulent because they got a lot of money. You know, and you're thinking, wow, this is richer than the United States. And it is. Right. So it is where you're at. That's a third world country. What do you expect? You know, I mean, you can only, you know, I work for that company, bro. If there's somebody that's fought for rights for wrestlers and Mexican wrestlers in the United States, it's me. If my company was over the boys, I'm the first guy that's going to call Dorian out. And bro, have we had big fights, and I buried that company over and over and over, and I quit twice. So I put my money where my mouth is. But I think the company treats everybody fairly. They just don't have the money that they have in the United States. That's why everybody wants to go to the United States. Every Mexican wants to go to the United States, not just wrestler, labor, doctor, artist, you know, because that's where the money is. How can you compare the two? I mean, you know, WWE's got $1 billion worth of money with Saudi Arabia and Fox, and this guy's got, I don't know, how much money do you think Tony's getting from TNT, Nick?
40 a year, 40 million.
Yeah, I think that's right, actually. Yeah,
plus, he's probably getting money from other ancillary projects, right?
Yeah, you would hope. I mean, there seem to be selling a lot more shirts these days. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, well, I can guarantee you we're not making nowhere, not even close 1/18 of what they make. So we do with
but you're not paying out talent what they're getting.
How do you know that?
Bro, you're paying $5 million a year to multiple guys?
Of course not. But that's what I'm saying. We don't have that type of money.
Right. Let me give you the last comment.
It's not fair to compare. You know, I think we've done a really good job of improving conditions, of being more professional. Bro, that I used to hate AAA. I used to hate the way they treated the people. I used to hate the way the talent. I hate the way they did everything. I hated that company. I like it now because and one of the main reasons I came back, because I left. I left and I went to Crash and I did my and as I said, I only come back under these conditions. And they started making conditions better.
Here's the last comment.
I mean, he's trying to compare AEW with nice hotels and first-class flights and, Arthur Ashe Stadium with Mexico. You can't.
All right, here's the last comment. He says AAA gives some wrestlers preferable, favorable treatment and names Psycho Clown directly. Does Psycho Clown get favorable treatment?
Let me tell you something. I don't care if you're in the movie industry, the rock and roll industry, the journalism industry, everybody. There's levels to this. And when you're at the top of your game, of course, you get treated better than the other guys. That's why some guys are stars and some guys aren't. Your star quarterback doesn't get treated like your third string wide receiver.
Like Tom Brady could take 2 weeks off of training camp.
Right. There's a very funny story that Jimmy Jones said from the Dallas Cowboys, where he said the next time somebody falls asleep during film study, I'm going to fire them. And Troy Aikman fell asleep, and he goes, "Did you fire me?" He goes, "No, I just woke him up." I mean, you're not going to fire Troy Aikman, right?
Right. So
Psycho Clown is our most popular wrestler and our biggest merchandise seller. So, of course, he's going to get, acronyms and that other guys don't get. But preferential treatment, hell no, because nobody gets preferential treatment in AAA. You come, you do your job, and you get rewarded for doing your job.
All right. Nick, do you have any comments to make about that? Did you hear Andrade's these comments?
I read the what was it? Most Las or something. I forget the name of the outlet it was.
Mas Lucha.
No, was it Mas Lucha?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But no, I read what everybody else read, and I'm not too familiar. There's a guy on my that works on the Wrestling Inc. team, Eric Mutter. I'll put him over. He's like a really, really smart person when it comes to all this stuff. I'm sure he really just enjoyed everything he just heard. But no, I mean, I listened to this and I just kind of want to see from your perspective, Konnan. We talk about Andrade seeming unhappy here, saying, "I don't care if I get fired." You hear the comment about how he says he's seeing going back to Mexico as a step back. He wants to work in the States. And it doesn't kind of feel like this guy's sending a not so subtle hint that he just wants to go back to WWE, or am I misinterpreting?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. And the other thing is, I didn't even think about this until yesterday when somebody sent a letter. He's having a match against that guy 10, right, on Friday?
Preston Vance, yeah.
Right. Who? And so my whole thing is, this might be a clever way of getting him out of the company. He loses that match.
It seems pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. And maybe everybody.
Of all people, 10? Why did they just give it the -1? But, I mean, it's just crazy over there, bro. They got to they got to fire some people, and they got to get rid of some people. Some people don't know what they have until they don't have it. You know what I'm saying? And I also think that Triple H really likes him. He liked him in NXT because he did give some great matches in NXT when he first got there. And we've seen that all these people from NXT, whether it's, the Japanese girl Sky and Dakota and
Damian Priest,
Gargano and Damian Priest, and what's Gargano's wife's name?
Candice LeRae.
And then
Candice LeRae.
Riddle.
Like, he's brought them all back. You know what I'm saying? And I'm assuming going to use Phantasma because he speaks perfect English. So I think he'd probably be happy to have Andrade back, and Andrade would be happy to work with him.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's better, right, when couples get to be together. Obviously, I think he'd like to be around his wife, right? And Tony Khan doesn't seem like on the best of terms with Ric Flair. I think as part of this Andrade interview, he mentioned how he wanted to have Rick manage him at another event recently, and Tony Khan said, no, I don't want that happening. I don't know if that was supposed to be at AEW or AAA, but of course Triple H was, brought up and idolized Rick and Terry Taylor, and those are people he, thinks kindly of. And I just think Andrade may just see himself happier in that space and be frustrated he can't be there.
Right. I have a feeling he's going back. I have a feeling he's like, I want to go back. I don't want to be here. This place. And Tony's like, all right, well, let's do a mask versus hair career match and get the fuck out. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
breaking news because Jose the assistant has commented on this controversy. Would you like to hear?
Wait a minute.
Would you like to hear what Jose had to say?
Well, that should be as riveting as the news you had about Hurricane Fiona. But go ahead.
Or Freddie Prinze Jr.'s promoter. But Jose the assistant tweets, "I was there and confirmed the incident between Sammy and Andrade happened. Andrade gave an honest interview about his thoughts on AEW, his upcoming AEW Rampage match. Good thing no one in AEW can translate Spanish to English." I don't know if he's.
What does that mean?
He's inferring that Andrade said worse things about the company in the interview.
Well, here's the thing. I'm thinking now that this got out. Chris Daniels, maybe Jericho, or whoever's helping Tony, fix all these problems has probably already heard about it. They're taking preventive measures. They're probably going to talk to both of them. We don't want no in the locker room. We don't want no distractions. We don't want you know what I'm saying? They're going to make sure that these two do not meet.
Do you think Sammy's in a position where he's had a suspension, he's had a altercation with Kingston already? You think he's on thin ice?
He should be.
So
I don't know. Not gonna, he's causing a lot of problems.
I'm saying he's not going to want to fight because he's
causing a lot of problems.
I don't. Yeah.
For the management team.
Well, but Sammy didn't start this fight.
Doesn't matter, bro. It's like you're still causing problems by responding. It's a problem now.
Publicly, yeah.
You could have had one guy did an interview.
Bro, at the end of the day, who's the locker room behind? Are they behind Andrade or are they behind Sammy?
It doesn't matter.
I do think that has a lot to do with it.
All of this stuff should be behind closed doors. You want to take this stuff publicly, and it's like you play. Come on. They need to have a match. Like, this is another opportunity for Tony Khan to find something where this, like, brother, the number 2 company. The ratings are underwhelming. Their highest rated show was their first show 3 years ago. They haven't gotten back to that point. So if the TV ratings at AEW were a stock, you've lost money if you bought that stock on day one, or it's not worth what it was on day one. So if you sell it, you're going to lose money. They need to capitalize on opportunities like this where there's real things happening and try to generate interest in, like, get your TV more interesting. These guys, like, bro, you could do stuff like this if it turns into a match. They cut promos on each other, stuff like to tell these guys, sit these guys down. Hey, you guys want to go into business for yourself? Well, now you're going to go into business for me. We're going to have a match. We're going to do business, and it's like, that's how this should be. That's how this should be handled. Go ahead, yeah. Nick. You were going to say something.
Well, I mean, but like, that's in an ideal world. I think that I agree with Konnan where he says the chemistry of the locker room is important, right? And you can sit people down and say, here's how we want to be, but you can't force people if they don't want to act a certain way or do business a certain way, and so
that's the guy you get rid of.
That's the thing is then you got to start making hard decisions here.
Right.
And Sammy may know Andrade's already 1 foot out the door, right? Like
maybe Sammy's the one that wants to leave.
I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Let me tell you something. No. Okay, you do not think
this guy
that if the WWE is looking at that roster, that Sammy Guevara is not one of the people they're thinking like this.
Yeah, but
this guy's got a lot of personality,
bro. They take care of Sammy really good. He has nothing to be mad about. Andrade does, because Andrade has been underutilized.
And the thing is, like, anytime Sammy's gotten in trouble, he's taken the punishment and has not complained. If anything, he seems to have tried to at least play like he's grown from these experiences. He did the Sasha Banks stuff, did the management or whatever, came back. Believe there was an exchange with Sasha.
I've worked with Sammy. He's excellent.
They punished a guy for something he did like 2 years before. That was ridiculous.
That
was just appeasing the mob.
Well,
the social media mob yells at you and like, okay, you're suspended.
I disagree with you on a joke, but
but how long? But brother,
but it's a joke, Nick.
Right. And it was a long time ago. It's like, what are you punishing the guy? He hadn't done,
Here's the thing. Here's my problem, Nick.
Here's my problem, Nick.
This is my problem. This is Disco's problem. And maybe you're of the other mindset.
Right.
How long do you have to be punished for that? You've done mistakes in your life. Do you want to be held down to that mistake for the rest of your life?
No.
I mean, you learn from it, and you got to let them go sometimes. You can't put a lifetime sentence on a joke.
Yeah.
But again, it's not a joke. And you to joke
it
about
is. It's a joke.
But it's a well.
Right, I would that chick. He means like it's attractive.
She's hot.
It's a term of endearment, kind of, because he's saying I'm attracted to that girl.
No,
I'm not like a misogynistic.
This is the
I'm gonna and against her will
take. Yeah. Oh my God, the worst possible take. Worst possible take. But anyway, the optics of it very, very bad, and you definitely want to send a message that this isn't the kind of behavior we tolerate. So I understand that, because again, you want to send a message to your locker room about what is okay and not okay behavior in and outside of your company. So I understand that, because again, I agree. I think he crossed the line, right? And didn't really pay any. Nothing really happened to him at the time. You make decisions, karma comes around, it'll catch you eventually. But he did try to grow from that experience. Then he had the Eddie Kingston stuff. And
what's your take on the Eddie Kingston stuff?
I mean, look, Eddie is obviously somebody who is a little wild, right? I mean, I had the chance to work with Eddie a couple times on the Indies, and great guy. I really, really liked Eddie. But even just hanging out with him and stuff, you could tell this guy's like, this guy is real, and like, I personally have never gone out and said something on a microphone, and I said a lot of stupid on microphones when I was managing, and I never had anybody threaten me or try to start. So that whole situation was unique to me. But again, Eddie had to go to anger management classes, probably learned a little bit about something about himself. They came back, they shook hands, they did some business, and they moved on.
Wait, who had to go to anger? They sent Eddie to anger management?
Yeah, because Eddie was the one who came back trying to instigate a fight against Sammy. He came back swinging. So
he literally had to go. He had to go through anger management training.
Yeah, he had to go take, I think, 30 days of anger management classes. Yeah, I think he did. I mean, don't quote me for gospel here, but I believe it was something akin to like 30 days and some anger management.
Yeah, it was a few weeks or whatever. That's basically the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Yeah, and
this stuff is just all like, we shared a locker room with the Steiner brothers. This culture today of like people, being offended and having to go to anger management. It's just like it's a very PC culture, and it's kind of weird to me.
Well, they could have used some anger management classes if you think about it.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying. It's like you were kind of like you understood the culture, and it made you tougher. So bro, there's like these days, like wrestlers are, getting mad at fan comments at shows.
But it's not just the wrestler; it's a generational thing, right, Glenn.
Yeah,
they're a microcosm of society. That's how this generation is.
Well, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. First of all, nobody should ever feel threatened in the workplace. And we've evolved to a certain point where I think that if somebody's acting violent and uncontrollable, a conversation could at least be had and maybe some action could be taken. I don't think that being around a bunch of psychotic who are all jacked up and with you because they don't like you makes you tougher. I think it can traumatize you. Right. So that aside, there was
and that was the business when we came into it.
And then there's a lot of people that got up and traumatized and died, right? And they were all stressed out and they got depressed.
Wait, time out. Wait, I'm only going to call. Like who?
What do you mean? Like various wrestlers?
You said people got traumatized from the locker room culture back when we were during our era and stuff, and died because of it.
Probably and resorted to drugs is what he means.
You don't think that there are female wrestlers that have been traumatized in the business that severely affected them?
1,000%.
You don't think?
Well, Ashley,
you don't think there's referees or managers or guys that weren't 500 pounds that couldn't make their way physically in a locker room that were traumatized?
I think you're talking about like the wrestlers.
Oh, like, the men.
It was kind of like the contract. You kind of understood.
The cisgendered white men. Got it. Yes. Those guys did very, very well. But it was pretty much everybody else around them that got really fucked up. And that's the issue here is like, we got to grow from that. Nobody should have to show up at a workplace, man, woman, whatever, and feel uncomfortable and like somebody's going to attack you. We're beyond that at this point. I am so beyond that at this point. And I don't really have an issue with that. No.
I can't disagree with any of that.